Top 10 places to visit in Berlin, Germany. Number 1. Brandenburg Gate. The Brandenburg Gate is one of the most famous and important places in Berlin. It is a huge old gate that used to be the entrance to the city many years ago. People love visiting it because it represents something very important in German history. The times when the Germany was divided into two cities, East and West Germany, after the World War II. The gate was stuck in the middle and no one could go through it. But when the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, it became a symbol of unity and peace. Now it's a place where people take pictures and think about how the country came back together. But 2. Berlin Wall Memorial and East Side Gallery. The Berlin Wall Memorial is a place where you can learn about a giant wall that used to divide Berlin into two parts, East Berlin and West Berlin. It was a very sad times because families and friends were separated. The war stood for nearly 30 years and some people even lost their lives trying to cross it. At the memorial, you can see parts of the original war and learn about the people who lived through this time. Not far from there, the East Side Gallery is a long section of the wall that has been turned into an outdoor art gallery. Artists from all over the world paint pictures on it, showing messages of peace and hope. It's like walking through history and art at the same time. Number 3. The Museum Island. The Museum Island is a very special place in Berlin where you can find 5 big museums all in one spot. These museums are full of amazing things from the past, like ancient statues, paintings, and treasures from different countries and time periods. One of the museums even has a real altar from ancient Greece. If you like learning about history, arts, and different cultures, this is the place to be. You could spend hours or even days exploring all the cool stuffs there. Number 4. The Reichstag Building. The Reichstag is a big building where Germany's government means to make important decisions. It's very old and looks like a palace, but inside is super modern because it was rebuilt after being damaged in a fire a long time ago. The best part about visiting the Reichstag is that it has a giant glass dome on top that you can walk inside. From there you can look out over the whole city and see all famous places. The glass dome is also special because it lets people see what's happening inside the government, making everything open and transparent. Number 5. Checkpoint Charlie. Checkpoint Charlie was one of the most famous places to cross between the East Berlin and West Berlin during the Cold War, at times when the city was divided by the Berlin Wall. It was like a guarded gate between two very different worlds, one side controlled by the Soviets and the other by the Western countries. Soldiers stood there watching to make sure no one crossed the border without permission. Today, it is a popular place to visit, and there is even a small museum where you can learn about the people who tried to escape from East Berlin and the dangerous things they went through. Number 6. The Holocaust Memorial. The Holocaust Memorial is a huge area covered in large grey concrete of different sizes. It was built to remember the millions of Jewish people who were killed during the World War II by the Nazis. Walking through the blocks can feel strange and a bit confusing, which is meant to help people think about the sadness and loss that happened during that terrible time. There is also a museum underneath that explains the history of the Holocaust, sharing stories of the people who lived through it and those who didn't survive. Number 7. Berlin Cathedral. The Berlin Cathedral is a beautiful giant church with a green dome that you can see from afar away inside. It's even more amazing with fancy decorations, gold and old paintings. It's one of the largest churches in Berlin, and people go there not only to pray but also to climb to the top of the dome for a fantastic view of the city. There's also a crypt underneath, and the cathedral where important people from Germany's history are buried, like kings and queens. Number 8. Charlottenburg Palace. Charlottenburg Palace is the biggest palace in Berlin and was once the home of German royalty. It's a very fancy inside with rooms of full of gold, beautiful furniture and paintings that look like they are straight out of a fairy tale. The palace is surrounded by huge gardens where you can walk around, have a picnic or just enjoy the beautiful flowers. It's a great palace to visit if you want to imagine what it's like to be a king or queen hundreds of years ago. Number 9. Potsdamer Platz. Potsdamer Platz is a busy and modern part of Berlin where you can find a lot of tall buildings, restaurants, shops and even movie theaters. But many years ago, it was a very important place too. After the World War II, this area was completely destroyed, and during the Cold War it was empty and divided by the Berlin Wall. Now, it's been rebuilt and is one of the most exciting areas in Berlin. People go there to shop, watch movies or just hang out. It's a great example of how Berlin has changed over the years. Number 10. Tiergarten. Tiergarten is Berlin's largest park and is like a city's own central park. It's a huge green space where people go to relax, have picnic or ride their bikes. It's a peaceful place right in the middle of a busy city, and there is a lot of statues and monuments scattered throughout the park. One of the most famous ones is the Victory Column, a tall tower with a golden statue on top. If you are up for it, you can climb to the top of the column and get a great view of the park and the city around it. Each of these places in Berlin tells a different part of the city or shows its beauty in different ways. Whether you love learning about the past or enjoying beautiful sights, Berlin has something amazing for everyone to explore.